The morning sun crept slowly over the rolling hills of Uaba, casting long shadows across the thatched roof homes and dusty pathways. The village stirred to life with the familiar sounds of roosters crowing, women preparing morning meals, and children beginning their daily chores. At the heart of this vibrant community stood the home of Chief Fei, a respected leader whose lineage traced back through generations of village elders. Inside the chief's compound, a young girl named Tosin was growing into a woman who would become the pride and later the source of great sorrow for her family. From her earliest years, Tosin was different. Where other girls her age were content with simple village life, she dreamed of something more. Her eyes held a spark of curiosity that both delighted and worried her parents. "Look at her," her mother, Mama Abik, would say to her husband. "She is not like the other girls. Her spirit is too wild, too restless." Chief Fei would chuckle, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through their modest but well-maintained home. "She is her father's daughter," he would reply, strong-willed and unafraid. As Tosin grew, her beauty became legendary in Uaba. Her skin was the color of rich honey, smooth and luminous. Her eyes, large and expressive, seemed to hold stories from generations past. Her hair, thick and lustrous, was often braided with intricate patterns that spoke of her family's status and her mother's skilled hands. The village of Waba was more than just a collection of homes. It was a living, breathing entity with traditions as old as the land itself. Every family had its role, its place in the delicate social fabric that had sustained the community for centuries. Chief Fei's family was among the most respected, responsible for mediating disputes, making important decisions, and maintaining the spiritual and social harmony of the village. As the daughter of the village chief, Tosin's life was never truly her own. From a young age, she understood the weight of expectations that came with her position. Marriage was not just a personal choice, but a strategic alliance that could impact the entire community. Potential suitors would come from near and far, hoping to win her hand. Some were young men from neighboring villages. Others were sons of local families with hopes of elevating their social standing. But Tosin was not easily impressed. "A woman is more than just a prize to be won," she would often say, a statement that both impressed and worried her parents. Her mother, Mama Abik, was a woman of extraordinary wisdom. She had seen many marriages in her time, some that blossomed into beautiful partnerships, and others that crumbled under the weight of tradition and expectation. "Marriage is not just about love," she would tell Tosin during their long evenings together. "It is about compatibility, respect, and understanding. A good marriage protects not just two people, but entire families and communities." Tosin would listen, her young mind absorbing these lessons while simultaneously questioning them. She wanted more than a carefully arranged marriage. She wanted passion, understanding, and a true connection. The annual Harvest Festival was always a significant event in Waba. It was a time of celebration, of thanksgiving, and of potential new connections. Families would dress in their finest traditional attire, young men and women would dance, and potential marriages would be discussed and sometimes arranged. It was during this festival that Tosin first saw Bayo. He stood out immediately, not just for his striking physical appearance, but for the confidence that seemed to radiate from him. Tall and well-built, with skin like polished ebony and eyes that seemed to hold both charm and mystery, Bayo was unlike any man Tosin had ever seen. Their first encounter was almost choreographed by fate. As Tosin was helping her mother prepare food for the community feast, Bayo accidentally dropped a calabash near her, creating a moment of interaction. "Forgive me," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "My hands seem to have a mind of their own today." Tosin, who was usually quick with a witty response, found herself momentarily speechless. There was something about Bayo that was both magnetic and slightly unsettling. "Perhaps your hands need more practice," she finally managed, a hint of playful challenge in her voice. Bayo's laugh was rich and genuine. "Perhaps you could teach me." And so began a courtship that would change the trajectory of Tosin's life forever. Bayo was different from the other men in the village. He spoke of dreams beyond Waba's borders. He talked about travel, about opportunities that existed beyond the familiar boundaries of their community. To Tosin, who had always felt slightly constrained by village life, these conversations were intoxicating. He would bring her small gifts, a beautifully woven bracelet, rare fruits from distant markets, stories of places she had never seen. Each interaction was carefully designed to capture her heart. But while Tosin was falling deeply in love, her parents watched with growing concern. "There is something about this man," Chief Fei would say to his wife. "His charm feels calculated." Mama Abik was more direct. During a private conversation with Tosin, she expressed her reservations. "Bayo's family comes from the Western Hills," she said, her voice low and serious. "They have traditions that are different, traditions that go against everything we believe in." Tosin would hear none of it. "Not every difference is a danger, Mama," she would argue. "Bayo is kind. He understands me in a way no one else ever has." Her mother's eyes would fill with a mixture of love and profound worry. "My daughter," she would whisper, "love can be both a blessing and a curse. Be careful." But Tosin was young, passionate, and convinced of her own judgment. She could not, would not, see the warning signs that were so clear to her parents. The tension between Tosin and her parents reached its breaking point when Bayo formally requested her hand in marriage. Traditionally, this would involve extensive discussions between families, negotiations, and careful consideration. But Tosin was impatient. "If you do not support me," she told her parents dramatically, "I will marry him without your blessing." It was a bold statement, one that challenged not just her parents' authority, but the very social fabric of their community. Chief Fei's face hardened. "You would risk everything? Your family's reputation? Our traditions?" "I would risk everything for love," Tosin replied, her chin raised defiantly. In that moment, a decision was made that would set in motion a series of events that would transform not just Tosin's life, but the lives of everyone in Uaba. Little did she know the true price of her passionate choice. The wedding of Tosin and Bayo was a spectacle that would be remembered in Uaba for years to come. Despite the absence of Tosin's parents, the celebration was grand. Colorful fabrics adorned the village center. Traditional musicians played rhythmic beats that seemed to pulse with the very heart of the community. And guests danced from dawn until well past midnight. Bayo looked resplendent in traditional attire, a richly woven cloth draped across his muscular shoulders, intricate beadwork highlighting his commanding presence. Tosin, beautiful beyond words, wore a dress that seemed to capture the very essence of her spirit. Vibrant, unbreakable, full of promise. As they exchanged vows, Tosin felt a sense of triumph. She had chosen her path, defied her parents' warnings, and was now starting a life with the man she believed was her perfect match. "We will build something beautiful," Bayo whispered to her during their first dance as husband and wife. "Just you and me, against the world." Those words would echo in Tosin's mind in the years to come. A promise that would slowly transform into a haunting memory. The first year of their marriage was everything Tosin had dreamed of. They lived in a modest home on the outskirts of Uaba, a wedding gift from Bayo's family. The house was simple but comfortable. Mud walls with a thatched roof, surrounded by a small plot of land where they began to grow their own vegetables. Tosin threw herself into creating a home. She planted a small garden, learned to prepare Bayo's favorite dishes, and dreamed of the family they would create together. When she became pregnant with their first child, her joy knew no bounds. Their daughter, Ao, arrived on a crisp morning. As Tosin held her newborn, she felt a completeness she had never experienced before. Bayo seemed equally thrilled, showering both mother and child with attention and love. "She has your eyes," he would say, looking at Ao. "Strong and full of spirit." But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. It started with small things. Bayo would come home later than usual, offering increasingly elaborate explanations. A farmers' meeting that ran long, unexpected work commitments, urgent village business. Tosin, initially trusting, began to notice inconsistencies. The clothes he wore sometimes carried unfamiliar scents. A hint of different perfume, traces of another woman's cooking. When she first approached Bayo about her suspicions, his reaction was swift and calculated. "Are you questioning me?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. "After everything I've done for you?" The implied threat hung in the air. Tosin, raised to be respectful, to maintain harmony, would fall silent. She would push her doubts aside, convincing herself that her imagination was playing tricks. But doubts, once planted, have a way of growing. 3 years after Ao's birth, Tosin gave birth to twins, Tayo and Kahinda. The pregnancy had been difficult, and the birth even more so. For weeks after the delivery, Bayo was attentive, helping with the children, bringing her special foods, ensuring her recovery. But this period of care was short-lived. As the twins grew, Bayo's absences became more frequent. He would leave early in the morning and return late at night, sometimes not coming home at all. When Tosin would ask about his whereabouts, his responses became increasingly hostile. "A man doesn't explain himself to his wife," he would say. "You should be grateful for all I provide." Tosin's world was shrinking. The vibrant, confident woman she once was became more withdrawn, more uncertain. Her beautiful spirit was being systematically diminished, one small act of control at a time. It was during a particularly tense evening that Tosin finally decided to confront Bayo directly. The children were asleep, and she waited for him, a determination burning in her eyes that reminded her of her younger self. When Bayo entered, smelling of unfamiliar perfume and alcohol, Tosin was ready. "Where have you been?" she asked, her voice steady. Bayo laughed, a sound that was more a bark than genuine humor. "Are you interrogating me?" "I'm asking my husband about his whereabouts," Tosin replied. "Is that not my right?" For a moment, something dangerous flickered in Bayo's eyes. Then just as quickly, it was gone, replaced by a cold smile. "In my family," he said slowly, "wives do not question their husbands. Remember that." The conversation ended there, but something had irrevocably changed. Desperate for understanding, Tosin turned to Bayo's family. Surely they would help her understand what was happening, why her husband was becoming increasingly distant and cruel. But her hope was misplaced. When she approached Bayo's mother, Mama Alake, she was met with dismissal and mockery. "You are a wife in this family," Mama Alake said, her voice sharp. "Your role is not to question, but to obey. Did Bayo not make this clear when you married him?" Tosin felt a growing sense of isolation. Her parents had warned her. Her husband was changing. His family offered no support. She was alone. One quiet afternoon, driven by a mixture of desperation and intuition, Tosin made a decision that would change everything. When Bayo left the house, she followed him. Carefully, silently, she tracked his movements through the village and beyond. Her heart raced, a mixture of fear and determination propelling her forward. And then she saw it. The truth that would shatter her world. Bayo had another wife. In a nearby village, he maintained an entire second life. A home, another set of children, another family, completely separate from Tosin and their children. The betrayal was complete. When she confronted Bayo that evening, his response was not remorse, but rage. "How dare you follow me?" he shouted, his hand raised in threat. "You are my property. I can do whatever I want." The first blow came swiftly. It would not be the last. Ayo's 10th birthday should have been a celebration of joy and hope. Instead, it became the day that would test Tosin's humanity, her courage, and her very will to survive. The day began like any other. Bayo, unexpectedly, was home. He had invited his family and friends to celebrate. An unusual display of interest that immediately set Tosin on edge. The children were happy, unaware of the tension that simmered beneath the surface of their family gathering. As night fell and the last guest departed, a heavy silence descended upon the house. Tosin noticed the way Bayo and his parents exchanged meaningful glances. Something was wrong. "Sit," Bayo's father, Baba Allah, commanded. His voice was cold, devoid of any warmth. Tosin sat, her heart racing. What followed was a revelation that would crush Tosin's spirit. Baba Allah spoke of an ancient family tradition, a ritual that must be performed when the first child reaches 10 years old. The price of this ritual was beyond anything Tosin could have imagined. "For the child to live," Mama Alake whispered, leaning forward, "you must walk naked through the village from sunrise to sunset." The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Tosin's mind reeled. "Naked? Through the entire village? No, I cannot." "If you refuse," Bayo interrupted, his voice flat and emotionless, "your daughter will die. Not just her. You too will lose your life. I will be cursed." The threat was clear, absolute. The family tradition was not a request. It was a command. Tosin's world shattered. She fell to her knees, begging Bayo, pleading for mercy. "Please," she sobbed. "There must be another way. I cannot face such shame. Our daughter..." Bayo's response was ruthless. "You have no choice. This is our tradition. If you refuse, the child's blood will be on your hands." Her mind raced. Her beautiful, innocent daughter, the child she had loved and protected since birth. The thought of her suffering was unbearable. In her desperation, Tosin made the difficult journey back to her parents' home. The same parents she had defied years ago when she married Bayo. Her mother opened the door, her face a mixture of anger and pain. "Go to your uncle," Mama Abik said sharply. "He's the one who gave you away to Bayo's family. We warned you, but you didn't listen." But Tosin was beyond pride. She fell to the ground, her body shaking with desperate sobs. "I'm sorry, Mama," she pleaded. "I was wrong. I should have listened. Now I'm in danger. My daughter's life is in danger. Please help me." Her father, Chief Fei, spoke with a voice hard as stone. "You made your choice, Tosin. We warned you something terrible would happen. Now you come to us for help?" In the quiet of the night, something unexpected happened. Her parents' anger softened. They saw their daughter, broken, afraid, but still fighting. "The tradition of Bayo's family is dark," her mother said, brewing a cup of herbal tea. "If you do this, it will destroy you. But if you don't, the curse could take your child." Her father nodded. "We cannot fight their traditions directly, but there is a way out." The plan was simple, yet dangerous. They would help Tosin escape. If she could leave the village before the 7 days of the curse were complete, the power would be broken. Her father packed supplies, food, blankets, clothes for Tosin and her 3 children. "Run," he instructed. "Get far beyond the village boundary. The curse will lose its power." As darkness fell, Tosin prepared to flee. Her children were quiet, sensing the gravity of the moment. Her bag was packed, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and hope. But fate had other plans. As they approached the village boundary, a voice roared from the shadows. Bayo had discovered their escape. "Where do you think you're going?" he shouted, grabbing Tosin from behind. Her blood ran cold. The escape, so carefully planned, was falling apart. Despite her resistance, despite her pleas, the ritual was enforced. Tosin was stripped, her hair cut, her dignity destroyed. The entire village watched as she was forced to walk naked, exposed, humiliated. Her walk was a testament to human suffering. Each step was agony, physical and emotional. The stares, the whispers, the occasional cruel laughter. They stripped her of everything but her core humanity. That night, with nothing left to lose, Tosin gathered her children once more. This time, there would be no turning back. They walked through the silent village, each step an act of rebellion. By the time dawn broke, they had reached the edge of a dense forest. Exhausted but determined, Tosin found a spot near a stream. Her children huddled close, their small hands clutching her. "We'll find a new home," she whispered. "A place where no one knows our story, where we can start fresh." Days of travel brought them to Okuta, a bustling town full of life and possibility. No one knew her name, no one knew her story. Tosin started small, washing clothes, cleaning homes, selling goods in the marketplace. Each coin was a step towards rebuilding her life. The townspeople began to notice her resilience, her kindness, her strength as a mother. Years passed. Tosin's children thrived. Her eldest daughter became a teacher. Her twins pursued successful trades. They were a living testament to their mother's incredible journey. Tosin had escaped not just a terrible tradition, but a life of oppression. Her story became a quiet legend in Okuta, a reminder that the human spirit can endure, can rise, can triumph. When she sat by the stream, watching her children laugh and play, she would close her eyes and whisper a prayer of gratitude. She had survived.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Kindly click the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this video. Watch out for more intriguing and eye-catching videos from your favorite YouTube channel.